All right, so you can see some grass, and that's going to be a tip-off of our race action today and for, of course, Saturday's races at Woodbine. That's right. And look, I see Woodbine. I see no Chad, but of course I see Jon Hardoon. How's it going, John?
Good, Greg. How are you?
Good. Okay, it's a mile turf summer stakes. So this is they're both grade ones, as I mentioned. This is the summer stakes,
This is the Chad Summers Stakes, and he's not even
and he's
here.
not even here. So, and these are very tough races to handicap, obviously, because there are a couple of horses, actually, I think three, that have only raced once, and some of them have not even raced on turf before. So,
Right,
how?
but the ones that haven't run on turf have run on synthetic, and people claim that synthetic and turf are interchangeable. The jury's still out on that. But that being said, you have a couple of horses that ran very well, that are fast, but we'll go through it and we'll see what we could do.
Yeah, taking a look, like for instance, one of the horses that has only run once is the number one, Super Attentive, who ran a 16, and that was on turf. So running a 16 on turf first time out at 20 to 1. Uh, what do you think about? And I got to ask you, this is a closing horse. It looks like after the first race, but I got to ask you because let's take Woodbine out of the equation. You're just This is just another track. You handicap a race like this. How do you go about doing it?
Well, in all honesty, I probably would avoid races like this where you have one number horses because you've been doing this long enough to know that what does one race mean? How many
Sure.
times do you see a horse go 2014? So and nobody knows which way they're going in their second start. You could make a calculated risk and calculated guess and an educated guess by knowing the trainers. Certain trainers don't try first out. It's not that they don't try, but they don't have the horse squeezed, for his top performance. A lot of trainers like to give horses a race, so it's not easy, that's for sure. But I'm going to deal with the horses that have run
Okay.
and shown us something already. And if somebody jumps up and proves 5 or 6 points in their second start, well, so be it. Well, I'll get beat. But for the most part, to be honest with you, I'm just going to go with the fast horses.
And then what about how did the odds maker? Who is he? Is he talking to somebody? Like, how does he put the odds together?
Well, every odds maker is different. Every track has their own odds maker for the most part, and some morning line guys are excellent, and other guys not so good. Like the guy that just did Kentucky Downs, where they ran for 8 days, he was awful. The guy at Santa Anita, John White, is one of the best in the country at doing it. He takes it really to heart, and he puts a lot of time and effort into it. The guy that does New York is David Aragon, another guy that does an excellent job. But certain tracks, they just, they don't put that much stock into it and they don't really care. So some morning line, you have to know the track you're dealing with. Honestly, I don't play Woodbine or
Yeah.
play it very rarely, so I'm not familiar with the morning line
So
maker.
so so the morning line guy, and he's got to decide when a horse has run once or twice how to put the odds out. Where is he getting his information usually?
Well, I'm telling you, it's from experience.
Just experience.
Trainers.
That's it. He doesn't like talk to anybody, or does he?
I mean, they could talk to people, but listen, if you have a horse and you want to get a price or something, you're certainly not going to tip off the morning line maker. You know what I'm saying?
That's
You say,
true.
he's not doing too good. That's how
Okay.
you get 20 to 1.
Now you just said that with limited races that you're going to stick with the faster horses. So that tells me that your experience it says for the most part when you're dealing with limited races, that's what you're saying is usually better to go with that strategy.
Well, I have to do that. I don't have a choice. I'm not going to forecast a horse to make a 5 point forward move. That would be silly
Okay.
unless the horse was a big prize.
So let's take a look then at the 3 to 1 shot. Ran 3 races on synthetic at Woodbine, 20, 15, 10. That's a really good line. It's 2 5 point tops back to back. Are you worried
The bi-
about?
the biggest problem with this horse is that he's never run on turf, but he's
Yes,
just so fast on synthetic that I was going to use him, but I'm not keying off of him because he never ran on turf. The connections are very good. Mark Cassidy wins a lot of races there. He wins at over 20%. Joel Rosario's in for the day. So that's all pluses, and that's all reasons to use him. So again, I'm using this horse strictly because of the 10 that he ran on synthetic, and hopefully he transfer it. But then again, you still have a problem that he could bounce off the 10.
yes,
He's lightly raced, but he doesn't have that much time off. He ran it back on August 27th. So how much time does he have? 3 weeks, maybe. You would have liked more time, but the fact that he's running him in a stake race for 500,000 has to mean something.
yeah, that's true. Only a few weeks since his last race. Another horse that might be intriguing based on the sheets is the 7-2 shot, Irosa. 22, first time out on synthetic, and then at least this horse has back-to-back turf races, 15 and 11. So very
Yeah,
similar in a way.
this is my top selection. Again, it's another horse off the top, but she just ran so well last time out. She's got some time from that race, and listen, she's 7-2. It's not like she's 7-5. At 7-2, I think this is the right horse to use here. I'm going to use the three with her, my boy Prince. I'm going to use the six, Bolt and Nori, who's well bred for turf and who's out of an who the trainer is excellent, Kevin Attard, and I would throw in the 10 as well, Golden Canary. Seven with three, six, and 10 is the way that I see it.
So we take a look at those. Is that dog you're talking about?
That's the dog I'm babysitting for, and I can't wait to get rid of him. I may leave the front door open tonight if he doesn't show
Yeah.
up.
Yeah. So
It's my,
taking,
it's my son's dog. He'll kill me if anything happens to him. So,
yeah. Don't worry. You didn't say anything. Um, because you mentioned the six. So the six has improved the last two, well, off of each start, 19-16 on synthetic, and then a 15 on turf.
correct.
So that's what you're going with, a 12-1, and both the trainer and the jock have good stats at this track as well, which is a nice sign. And you mentioned the 10, the 6-1 shot has 2 15s, both on turf.
Right, and he has a shot to make a forward move off the line. I
So
like the line on the horse. This is his third race, and she's stretching out.
yeah,
By
so
the way, the trainer of the three and the trainer of the 10 is the same guy, and the owner of the three and the owner of the 10 are the same people as well.
and I guess the only other horse that was just left out, if you had a fifth, might be the one, because that's also the same trainer, and that horse ran a
Oh, you're
16.
right. You're right. It's another Mark Cassius, and he's 20-1. Why not?
Yeah. So yeah. So maybe so I'll try to pick up the one for you in some way with a connection of with the horses you mentioned. So there you go. You've got the sheets for the sheet lines for the top horses because all the other horses have pretty much ran 19 or worse. I mean, you do have the two ran a 21 and a 17, but it's 4-1. So I'm not sure why that horse is 4-1 when the 3 and the 7 are also pretty much at that same number.
Well,
Uh,
I guess that's the Christopher Clement respect. He's shipping in from Saratoga, New York, to
okay.
run there. So Clement gets a lot of respect when he ships into tracks like this.
And that horse ran a grade 3 after uh, coming right out with a win first time out. So it must definitely like that horse. And then the only other horse, Western World, ran a 17 last time out after a 23 first time. So, like I said, all the other horses have much slower numbers. Okay, let's go to the female side of things for this race, mile turf, and this is the Johnnie Walker. So this is going to go off about 5 o'clock.
Actually, the sixth race was Phil. No, the sixth race was Colts with the boys.
Yeah.
And the eighth race is the Phillies. But you have a problem here. There's a horse that's cross-entered. I'm looking at the seven, Erosa, and I say, wow, I like this horse the best in the sixth race. Then I get to the eighth race, I'm handicapping, and I come across a horse named DeRosa. I said, boy, this horse sounds familiar. And the sheet looks exactly like another horse. And gosh darn it, it's the same horse. The, the seven horse in the sixth race is also entered as the six horse in the eighth race. So obviously she's not running in both races,
So we just
right?
don't know which one then.
We don't know which one, but if she happens to run in the eighth race, I like her here also.
Yeah.
I mean, she's just fast.
Yeah, that
But
doesn't change.
I would assume that he's going to run her against the fillies, in the first. Well, maybe this is the all filly race. Maybe he'll go here. I
Yeah.
don't know. So
Yeah.
anyway, back to the sixth race. If they happen to scratch the seven, Erosa, I'm going to give everyone, another way around it. Then I would box 3, 6, 10. I don't want to make it too confusing.
Sure.
The six runs in the sixth race, I like. I'm sorry. If the seven runs in the sixth race, I like her clearly the best. If she scratches and runs in the eighth race, which she has the right to do, I then would make an exacta box of 3, 6, and 10.
Okay. And
You understand that confusion? Because boy, we
yeah,
picked 2 races to do, Rick. Because
that's easy.
I didn't even
Sure.
realize you got the same horses in both races.
Yeah. So there. So yeah. So it's 3, 6, 10 if the
The
seven
seven scratch.
races in the eighth, and that's where you can throw in the one if the
Yeah,
seven
okay.
leaves.
Now you could use your 1, 2 if you want.
Yes.
Exactly.
Now, in the eighth, besides Erosa, who looks like may enter that race, so we're just guessing. We've already given you the sheets on that horse. Let's take a look at some other possibilities. The 2, Bolt and Nori, the 20-1 shot has improved each time out. 19, 16, and 15. The 15 was on turf last time out, and you are getting 20-1.
Don't you know who the 2 is? The 2 is also entered in the sixth race.
Oh,
He's
no.
the sixth horse. He's a six
There you
horse.
go. The 6.
I told you, these horses are cross-entered.
Yeah.
This is a mess. Yeah.
Is that the only ones? I hope so.
I hope so. I'm just looking and I'm seeing horses that look mighty familiar.
Let's
But
see.
there's an interesting horse in the eighth race, by the way, in case the six horse Erosa goes in the sixth race. The 7 horse here, simply in front, has 1 start and ran a 13 that day.
Yes.
She's 20-1.
Whoa! What's that about?
Because she's a maiden running against winners. She never won a race, but she's only had 1 race.
Yeah, and the other horses have only had 2 or 3 races.
That's why I really hope that Erosa goes in the sixth race, so I could bet the 7 simply in front in this race, because that's who I would bet.
Yeah, that's a no-brainer with the 13.
I mean, right? She was 2 points away from the horse that we like best in the race, Erosa, and she only had 1 start. She's certainly eligible to improve, and the fact that they're putting her in a stake race and she's still a maiden is certainly a positive sign. But you have another problem in this race. You have 2 European invaders. One's Charles Appleby on the rail, who wins a lot of races shipping, from the other side of the world. And you also have a Chad Brown horse that's never run in the country, the 13. So we know nothing about those horses because we don't make numbers for those where they were running.
And the 1's a 3-1 shot, and the 10 and the 13's a 10-1 shot. So
yeah, but I'm just pointing out that they're unknowns to us because we know nothing about them. And they're both from. They're both from Charles Appleby and from Chad Brown. So obviously, either one of those could pop up and run, and it would be no surprise.
Yeah, maybe you just do an exacta with those 2, just in case.
No. You must use a 7 at 20-1 somewhere in the mix.
Oh no, I'm just saying that's a separate bet. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, but the reason that I have a feeling that the 6 is going to go in the sixth race, probably to avoid both of these European horses that we know nothing about. That's just what I would do if it was my choice.
And so really, if you look at it, when you're taking a look at the rest of this field,
they're all the same, basically. They run between 15s and 18s for the most part. The 8 ran a 12 top last time out. She looks like she could bounce, doesn't have to bounce. And she's at least 10-1, so I have no problem using her either.
Yeah, that is the only danger. But 12 is just about as good as any other horse.
If she runs that race.
Yeah, if she does not bounce, yeah.
Right.
But again, as we said, again, if the 2 does, again, we got to see where the 2 runs as well, Bolt and Ore, because just like you were saying with the 7 in the 6th, Bolt and Ore, if she races in race 8 at 20-1, that becomes a possible option at 19, 16, 15 because you liked her in the 6th.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
So that's definitely another one there. Let's see. The She's Feels Pretty, the 20-1 shot with Velazquez, ran a 16 first time out. And then really Golden Canary, the 6-1 shot. I'm not sure
Yeah,
if
but she's not better than
that's a
the
2
two. She's
horse.
not.
No, that's
She's not better
that's
than the
another
three.
carryover. You picked her in the
Oh, she's
6th.
also now race.
Yes.
Oh yeah, she's the 10.
Yes.
I mean, how stupid is that? They know. They should make them decide. They should let them pick one race. I mean, why
Yes.
how do people handicap in advance when you got 4 horses in the same race? It doesn't make sense.
When do they give them till?
Saturday morning?
Really?
Yeah.
Wow. Well, if
But
they
and here's the sad news. The sad news is the trainers, the connections, they know where they're going. At this point, they guarantee it. They're not waiting until Saturday to decide.
well, there you go. I think we've given
A complete mishmash.
yeah, Dancing Duchess, by the way, ran a 16 first time on turf, last time out. And she was improving on synthetic 25, 18, 15. She's 12-1. All the other horses are pretty slow, 18 or higher, that we did not talk about. So
Right. So we spoke about the 2 Europeans. We spoke about the horses that are entered in both races.
yeah.
And we spoke about the 7 Simply Front, who's only entered in this race, who's 20-1 and may end up being the right key when all is said and done. The horse ran once at 13. You know, if you get anywhere near that price, it's more than right. And that's the way I see it.
Hey, this is just like we were saying at the top of the show. It's not necessarily the picks, but it's the analysis because we can't really get picks on this race. We can, but it's kind of weird. So there you go. I think everybody gets the idea of what we like. So without giving
All right,
actual
my
picks.
friend.
Yeah,
We
next
will be
week,
back with Chad next week.
Pennsylvania
Oh,
Derby
yeah,
Day
Pennsylvania
at Parks.
Derby Day.
Should be fun. Thanks, John.
Thanks, Greg. Stay safe and be well. I'll talk to you next week.
Walk the dog without a leash.
Yeah.